Breaking tonight, we are minutes away from a major commuter headache in and around New York City. New Jersey transit engineers set to go on strike at 12:01 a.m., meaning public transportation riders are facing massive service disruptions beginning Friday morning, likely leaving thousands looking for alternate ways to get into and around the city. Apparently, contract negotiations with the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers fell through earlier tonight, triggering the first New Jersey transit strike in some 40 years. We'll keep you posted on that.
Why would you want Oklahoma students exposed to thoroughly debunked election conspiracy theories in the classroom?
President Trump should have won the 2020 election. You look at things like the ballot dumps, you look at the mail-in ballots, you look at the voter fraud. We want them to look at the data, look at the statistics, and come to their own conclusion.
Come to their own conclusion. What could be wrong with that? Oklahoma State Superintendent Ryan Walters facing a bit of blowback over that MSNBC interview, for his state's new curriculum. We want to bring in defending education VP and legal fellow Sarah Parshall and I said it's Parshall Perry. Sorry, I left out the Perry there, along with Ryan himself. Listen, Ryan, I think I speak for millions of Americans when I say there's absolutely nothing wrong with discussing the fact that there were peculiarities following the 2020 election. By the way, what happened to all those voters that voted in 2020 that somehow didn't vote in 2024?
That's a great question, Kevin. And I pointed out to MSNBC, I know that these left-wing media outlets love to gaslight, but I said, your own station covered the fraud. They covered all of these issues. And so when you look down through it, I stand by what I said. President Trump should have won the 2020 election. We see the fraud. We see the manipulation from China and Russia. We see all the issues that went on. And what we said very clearly, our kids are going to study the facts, and they can make their own decision. But boy, I'm telling you, the left-wing media hate looking at the facts, don't they?
Yeah, very interesting. By the way, this is from the Mirror-Tier. The Oklahoma Board of Education has approved new curriculum standards that require students to be taught that the 2020 presidential election was rife with fraud or discrepancies. Sarah Parshall Perry, what do you think?
I have to tell you, I think the case is specifically about the power of a state to transform its education through curriculum.
Yeah.
And I think Oklahoma is leading the way. I am very impressed with the fact that this is made specifically to create critical thinkers. And don't we need more of that in American education?
That we do. And what we need less of is sort of putting a thumb on the scale for one group and not all groups. Let me share what I mean by that. This is from the Department of Education. A complaint filed with the DOE asserts that Chicago Public Schools in 23-24 Black Student Success Plan, it violated the Title VI by focusing on remedial measures only for Black students, despite acknowledging that Chicago students of all races struggle academically. Well, obviously that applies to everyone. Why would they eliminate support for the other groups?
Well, that's a great question. In fact, the Illinois State Board of Education just came out with its most recent statistics. We are at 17% literacy in math in Chicago. Wow. And 24% literacy in reading. So all students are failing. And in fact, some of the rated students who are in these programs are actually performing underneath their Black student counterparts. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and the Students for Fair Admission case, interpreting the Constitution's 14th Amendment, make very clear race discrimination is prohibited in federally funded education.
Absolutely. Equal protection under the law as well. Ryan, this would never happen in the great state of Oklahoma.
Not in Oklahoma, no, sir. And President Trump is getting rid of this in America. It's time to focus on individuals, the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
That's right.
And again, give opportunities to students. Focus on merit. Focus on opportunities to be successful both academically and in life holistically. And we've got to get away from this. We've eliminated DEI in Oklahoma. We're so proud of the Trump administration to put an end to this. This is how we move the country forward. It's how we get better jobs. It's how we get better students. And so thank God for President Trump on eliminating DEI programs and this woke nonsense.
I would say more, but there's not much more I can add to that. That's pretty doggone good. Ryan Walters, Sarah Parshall Perry, thank you both for joining us tonight. Appreciate you both.